chat. Let's do some Brandon. Let's do some Brandon. No, Sergeant Splatter, we already did HLC. You missed it. We did HLC at the beginning of stream already. I'm sorry you missed it. No, we're going to do Brandon. We're going to do Brandon. This is going to be good. So let's go.
Few wars have changed the face of warfare quite like World War I. Less than 50 years after the end of the American Civil War, which was mainly fought with things like muskets, you had airplanes, chemical warfare, tanks, and of course, the introduction of the machine gun. And today we're going to be talking about one of the most influential machine guns that was introduced in World War I. The Lewis machine gun.
Yes! Wow. Wow, that circular magazine is so interesting. I hope he gets into how that circular magazine operates in terms of feeding. That is wild.
That is, with no exaggeration, probably the most pleasant light machine gun I have shot.
Gary, good question.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Lewis gun. Whether you know this from World War II, World War II video games, World War II Rule 34 fan fiction, The Mummy, Fallout, or of course, Star Wars, the Lewis gun is definitely a light machine gun that has a lock on pop culture. Don't know why I said that, like Tucker Carlson. The Lewis machine gun was designed in 1911, which is actually kind of fucking crazy. To think at time of recording that this gun is actually 114 years old. Almost as old as the average American senator. It's pretty crazy. It saw early production in like 1914, didn't really see widespread use in World War I until about halfway through the war. But regardless, it is still very synonymous with British infantry during World War I and II. Which is kind of funny, because even though people think of the Lewis gun as much more of a British machine gun, they think of the Americans, more like the 1919, the Browning automatic rifle. The Brits, they think of the Lewis. And even though it did see widespread use by the British Army, it was actually developed by an American. Again, Tucker Carlson. The designer of the Lewis gun, Isaac Newton Lewis, was actually born in Pennsylvania. There were a lot of Brits really mad about some of the comments I made in my Sten video a couple years ago. Oh, just you wait for this one. And to the Brits, if you're worried about another country trying to steal more of your heritage, maybe turn on the news. You've got bigger fish to fry.
Yeah.
I interrupt this program with a knife. A knife, of course, we use to find out what is in this month's
TACPAC.
TACPAC is a monthly subscription service where you can find cool stuff like merch, SBR Wars. That was pretty much the entire fucking NFA fight on the Big Beautiful Bill. I'm not still bitter. AR lower vice blocks. That is way heavier than I thought it would be. Mantis dry fire training systems. Reptilia pistol grips. Fucking hot dog. Fab defense bipods, and more. TACPAC has two tiers. Standard is $59.95. TACPAC Plus is $139.95, but contains stuff worth about $240 to $300. In fact, I was told the October TACPAC Plus will be worth over $300. And you can use the code AKGUY to get a free $60 tactical gift. Brings you to a total value of over $350 just from using the code. So check them out in the links down in the description and in the pinned comment. Back to the video. So while a lot of the Lewis guns were produced in .303 British, as that was a very common caliber at the time for England, obviously with the Lee Enfields and such, this one right here is actually...
Alistair, I appreciate the thought. Pretty sure TACPAC doesn't serve as Canada. Alas, I appreciate the thought. I do. But I doubt I'd be able to get TACPAC up here in Canada.
In .30-06, the American cartridge. A very popular round in the United States, not only for military use, but also for hunting. It's actually what the FBI used to kill Martin Luther King. I feel like I should be careful starting my car after this. The Lewis gun has two noticeable features. One is this giant cooling shroud here. It's got a radiator around the barrel, and it looks really fucking cool. The other is this pan magazine that sits on top here. It kind of rotates like so every round. It's actually open on the bottom. You probably saw that in some of the footage earlier. Super iconic. They came in both 47 and 97 round configurations. 97 is obviously it's a little thicker.
The big old women down in San Antonio.
You see those a lot more on like the anti-aircraft versions of the Lewis gun, stuff like that. Where they
realistically, Revan, I don't think it's probably any heavier than a 60. I actually would wager that it's probably lighter than the 60 because the radiator shroud around the barrel is probably mostly hollow, and it looks weighty, but I imagine it isn't as weighty as it looks. Not to mention, the receiver has probably less internal mechanics working on it than something like the M60 does. So realistically, this probably would weigh less than the 60. At my guess. Brandon might talk about it. You guys are saying it's 30 pounds. Lewis gun's 28 pounds. M60 is 23 pounds. Okay, so it's only slightly heavier than the 60. So the shroud makes it look deceptively heavy. And that's what it is. It's because the shroud is so thick, the shroud/radiator is so thick, it gives it a deceptively heavy look.
Had the big anti-aircraft sight because it does actually get in the way of the iron sights. This one, of course, being a YouTube compliant 29 round magazine. The US military actually developed the YouTube compliance 29 round magazines during World War II because they knew what YouTube's guidelines were going to be in 2025. Much like YouTube expects us to know. Anyway, to remove the magazine, we have this little spring here on the middle. Right here, you get this little hole and a spring on the right side. You push in on that, and then the magazine just kind of comes off. This is where we see the markings here. This is a US Navy Lewis gun, 30 caliber, made in 1917. You can tell it's Navy not only because it's marked USN up here, but it also on the bottom left has the little insignia of an anchor. Also by the fact that it likes plowing through men. Now something you might know.
God damn it, Brandon. In the Navy.
Notice about the Lewis Pan magazines is that there's actually no spring of any kind. So the reason for that, and the way they can get away with that, is that if you pop this open, see it's completely empty now that there's no rounds. This is just a little aluminum housing that just helps keep track, or keep the rounds on track rather. The way they're able to get away with that is if we see here, it's entirely mechanical. The gun is what's rotating this drum while it fires. So I'm gonna take the charging handle here and you can see.
Yes, I see. So it's rotating the magazine, and you have this. He's gonna say this cutout here is what is forced because it is basically forcing the round into the chamber. So as the magazine rotates, the rounds will slide into this cutout and then force it into, and then basically drop it into the magazine. Huh. Interesting.
This whole mechanism here is what is advancing rounds into the chamber and then rotating the magazine while it fires. Which I will say is pretty fucking neat. You just line up this little tab here with this little cutout in the magazine, plop it down on top, pull your charging handle back, you see the pan rotate there, and you are hot and ready to fire. We'll go ahead and go into the manual of arms a little bit. So to insert the magazine or put the magazine on top, you have a little peg here right around this the cylinder on top. That matches up to the hole that's cut away here in the magazine. We'll go ahead and align those two, put the magazine on top. It's really just an interesting design at the end of the day. It's like the Americans just looked at a Kodak projector and said, huh, I have an idea. Also, that joke doesn't really work because this came like 50 years before the Kodak carousel, which is really a crazy thought.
Hey, what if Kodak saw the Lewis gun, saw the way the Lewis gun worked, and thought, idea? Like, crazier things have happened. Is it possible that Kodak got the idea for the film projector from The Lewis gun? Maybe.
This is, of course, an open bolt light machine gun, so the bolt stays to the rear until you are ready to fire, or you pull the trigger, and then the bolt goes forward. Now you're killing, now you ain't. I bet you're wondering where the safety is on this gun. Got a folding rear sight here, so this is your rear sight aperture. Lines up with your front sight at the end of the shroud here. Very, very comfortable gun to shoot, especially since it shoots 30-06. Part of the reason of that is the weight of the gun. This is a very, very hefty firearm, but it also has a very unique operating system, which we'll get to here in a sec. ADD break.
Giggle fingers? To your point, they didn't figure out that we were building nuclear bombs. They figured out we were testing nuclear bombs. There is a difference there.
Hefty firearm, but it also has a very unique operating system, which we'll get to here in a sec. ADD break. So just for a little bit of funsies, we're gonna be doing the patented White Claw penetration test.
Hey.
3 in a line.
Okay, side tangent. I know you're shocked. Chat, I have never tried a White Claw before in my life. If I am able to get any, would you recommend it? Would you guys recommend White Claws? I've never tried any before in my life. I'm curious if anyone in chat has tried a White Claw before and if they are tasty. Out of curiosity. Never had it. They're not. Okay, I've got one person saying they aren't bad. 2 people saying they are bad. Black cherry. Try the black cherry one. Okay, thank you, Aranami. Thank you. Yes, yes, Stefan. White Claws are alcohol. Yes, they are. Hey, you've heard that both good and bad. They get the job done. Okay, maybe this weekend when I go do some groceries, I might stop by the liquor store and see if I can find some. I have no idea if my local liquor store will have them or not. Maybe I will check.
They're charging over the trenches, but we have a Lewis gun. Surely this will end all wars.
Nice.
Well, I think we have watered Flanders fields.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. That'll do it. Multiple rounds of 30-06 versus White Claw. Who'd have thunk it?
Yeah.
God, that is gnarly. So now we're gonna take this fucker apart to show you exactly how it works. And I will say Isaac Newton Lewis was on some bullshit, because this thing is fucking whack. That is not the kind of guy that would need to get his start in gunsmithing and weapons technology at SDI.edu using the links in the description and in the pinned comment, because my God, this guy was getting his inspiration from fever dreams. So we got a little tab here at the bottom. We're gonna go ahead and push that forward, and the stock is gonna rotate off. There we go. So we got our stock out here. I'm gonna go ahead and take the fire control group off. It just slides on this little rail here in the bottom. Yeah, I'm gonna take this Hubba Bubba gum container off the bottom here. I'll talk about this later. And then we are able to take our bolt carrier our bolt and carrier out this way. Pull this to the rear. Get our charging handle, just pops out of that slot there. And now we have our slightly dirty bolt and carrier here. So this is obviously a piston design. So this is in the gun. You know, there's a gas block that pushes gas from the barrel into the end of this piston, which actuates the firearm. What is fucking different? Actually, there's a couple of things that are fucking different. This here is our bolt. Nothing really crazy on that one. If you've seen one, you've seen them all. Our firing pin is fixed in the bolt carrier. I guess that's what you call this. That's kind of neat. That's a new one for me. But you might also notice the serrations on the bottom of the bolt carrier. Anyway, the reason this has these gear-like serrations on the bottom is because of the way the recoil spring works. You might notice we didn't take a recoil spring out of the back of the gun, like for example, an AK or an AR-15 or most fucking guns. The reason for that is that the spring assembly on the Lewis is in this little hubba bubba motherfucker right here. This is your recoil spring. The teeth actually engage on this to wind the spring up and build tension. So when the trigger's pulled, it's released, slams back forward. If you showed me this design and I had no knowledge of the Lewis gun beforehand, and you said, oh, this is gonna be great and it's gonna work, I would say you're fucking crazy. But I'll be damned. This is one of the more bizarre features I've ever seen on a firearm like this, and it's kind of wild that I don't think this has ever really been used again after that. But it is so fucking cool to see people, especially in this weird like steampunk, World War I era, everybody's still figuring out the machine gun, the submachine gun. It's cool to see weird shit like this because there wasn't an accepted way to do stuff. You had some nerdy motherfucker from Pennsylvania cook this shit up in a basement and was like, hell yeah, let's build millions of these. Anyway, putting this back in.
And they worked.
Go ahead and roll that up there.
Yeah, I mean, Nugget, you're right. The damn thing works, and it works well. It was a main light machine gun for World War I. The fuck it looks weird as hell, but goddamn if it doesn't work, and worked pretty well.
It's a little hinge slot. Put our bolt and carrier back. Stick that in here, like so. This is a little dirty. She probably is, overdue for a date with the ultrasonic. Cam groove up top fits in like so. I'm gonna go ahead and put the charging handle back in that slot there. Take our fire control unit. Go ahead and put that in there. So now before we release this, we need to make sure that this is pulled all the way to the side so that the cam groove can appropriately fit. And we are good to go.
Right.
Take our stock, put it back in that slot, rotate it back on, add our drum magazine here, back on top, and we are back good and ready to kill Jerry's. If you thought this thing is at least half as cool as I did, and you want to see more
the gun was designed in 1911 and first started rolling out for manufacturing in 1914, I believe he said, Xanax.
Historical machine guns and stuff like that. First of all, go ahead and subscribe. You'll probably like it around here. Second of all, let me know down in the comments what you'd like to see. I thoroughly enjoyed making this video. I hope you enjoyed watching it. I appreciate you staying all the way to the end. And as always, I will see you sexy YouTube mother lovers in the next video. Thanks. Anyhow, our charging handle is over here on the left side. This is, of course, an open bolt light machine gun. So the bolt stays, oh, fuck me. Now something you might notice about, the Lewis, Also by the fact that it likes plowing through, it likes plowing through men. That's so stupid.
It's stupid, but it's funny. Okay, that was really, really interesting. That was really interesting.